esports when they disrespected it for but a moment. Really punished them massively. So, you know, when we look at this, there's still things like the already available. The Taliyah is actually still up and available, and I think Weibo probably just going to pick that one up. Seems like a very good pick for Angel. Taliyah Poppy.
Oh,
I mean,
man.
I think this mid jungle is broken. Like, if you think about the mobility creep in the game, and what I mean by that is, like, over time, champions have got more and more mobility. It's creeped in. That's why it's called creep. Like, these two just shut it down. They're like, dashes do not exist in our realm. And yes, you're picking it early, so you might think, oh, well, OMG just don't pick any dashes. Do you know how hard that is? Do you know how hard that is to pick no champions with dashes? You know which champions have dashes? The good ones, Mazel.
The good ones. The good ones always do. I also just want to state, right, OMG feeling like either the comfort for Aki on the Viego was super important, or just taking away, you know, the absolutely one-sided champion pool from SofM, where he's played 18 games of Viego comparatively the next highest and 5 on Lee Sin. I feel like it's a bait at this point because we have seen the Poppy rise in such priority. We do see some late game scaling though picked up for OMG in terms of the Aphelios and the Viktor.
I'm interested to see what they go for here, Weibo on this 3, because they have the potential to pick up an AD carry and match, and then ban away, you know, potentially support matchups to make it difficult. They could take a top laner here and ban away counters. The new Gwen isn't as good in lane, but is stronger late game, and TheShy would be I was going to say TheShy would be a menace on that, but they actually go for the Sivir. This is probably one of the earliest times we've seen a Sivir picked up. We've definitely seen it like later in the draft, but they're feeling confident that Huanfeng can perform on it in those team fights. It is a bit short ranged here, but feeling confident with it, and now Weibo can look to either target supports or can target top laners. They have a lot of flexibility coming into this next rotation.
Yeah, I would expect either some focus towards some engagers against Cold, or even towards that top lane, as we were saying. And it's going to be the top laner and an engager, but it's definitely towards Shanji as the Sejuani ban comes through. The Yuumi ban targeting towards Anvil. I like that. So taking away the Sivir Yuumi combo.
Yeah, Sivir Yuumi has been like such a strong combo if you can't punish it in lane. And, you know, Aphelios isn't like the strongest laner. That's not really what you pick him for. I think that's the thing. That's why we're seeing the 87, because if like Draven was still a possibility, maybe there'd be a bit more concern. Now, Sejuani banned by Weibo. We'll see if they ban another top laner here, but actually going for the Alistar, something that obviously interacts well with Sivir's spell shield, whereas like Nautilus not as effective into it, obviously. We'll see what OMG opt to ban away. If they do look to target any of TheShy's picks, there is still the possibility.
Though? Like, do you?
I mean,
so many picks, Ox. There's so many picks.
Yeah, but there's some really broken ones, and he's gonna have counter pick. Are you concerned about Gwen as a counter pick? Are you concerned about the Jax as a counter pick? You know, he actually goes for the Kennen, which is interesting because Kennen's often I'm theorizing Kennen's often pretty good into Gwen, but there's no way you blind Gwen here because you'll be counter picked by TheShy with Jax. Weibo take the best engaged support on the patch, which is Nautilus. And OMG could just respond with a Braum. Would be pretty solid in the lane matchup. But to be honest, I think Sivir's fine with this because you just kind of play the 2v2 passively and just clear. Let's see what they opt to go for in the end.
It's interesting to see the pivot from Weibo Gaming. Obviously, the Yuumi going down to the ban. Their willingness to go for that Nautilus, as you said, top pick right now. They do go with the Braum for OMG. Now we'll see what the pick is going to be for Shanji.
That's the question. What are they going to blind here in the top lane? Shanji, I feel like it's the sort of player where you never really know. What he's going to pull out. The Shyvana is open and available. Could just end up going for this Gangplank here in the end. And I feel like the Gwen into Gangplank matchup did suffer as a result of the changes. The fact that the dash refund, so your E, you have to auto to get a refund, and it's so much smaller early, means you can't just like dash in, trade, dash out again.
Yo, what if TheShy takes the dragon? What if he takes Shyvana? I'll just theorize. I have a little bit of fun here. There's a lot more stable picks, and it will be the Gwen.
You know, in spring, there was one player who, you know, he got his hands on Gwen, and then it was just banned against him until it got nerfed out of existence, and that was TheShy, right? Laning is a little bit weaker. We did talk about when the patch first hit the changes, you just lost some of that power on your E. Your W isn't as long a duration. It was trimmed down the early game, but the payoff in the late game is substantial. And TheShy is a player who I have confidence should be able to navigate this lane, get to the later stages, and then become a monster is the only way I can really say it. And the thing is, I feel like Weibo have so much more potential to set up plays here. They have a really strong roaming mid laner who's going to be able to get that 80 prio. The Poppy we've seen run amok in games recently. And then they have 2 scaling side lanes. They also have all the engaged. Like on the other side, there isn't much engaged potential on the side of OMG. They kind of have to play defensive, play back, let the enemy team run into them. And I'm not sure that's going to be the best port of call. So I definitely prefer Weibo's draft here, but it always does come down to that execution.
Do you feel like a lot of it's going to come down to the jungle skirmishing and be decided early on, or do you think we're going to get one of these like late game scaling bangers?
I feel the skirmishing is probably going to dictate a fair bit, but you know, with Weibo, you never really know. With OMG, I feel like both of these teams are complete wild cards when it comes to their level. They can really do punch upwards and challenge some of the top teams, but then also kind of lose to not quite anyone, but you know, like sometimes feels that way. So it's hard to scope out. But I will say, you know, I give the edge to Weibo. If Weibo can set the early plans in motion, they can get a lead that will put their carries into a better position, because OMG still do have good scaling elements. So they may not want to let them go unchecked.
I'm so excited. We're into the final game of week number 7. We get the cinematic and everything. Esports Manager taking over the Rift. But what's taking over right now is Weibo Gaming versus OMG. It is a lot of volatility for the top lane, maybe later on in the game, as it will just be the Gangplank versus Gwen matchup. But a big thought for me is that skirmishing we started talking a little bit about for these junglers, and especially looking at how this mid lane kind of bends and flexes into that, right? Like Angel and Creme are going to be a key focus point here in terms of how they connect with the jungle.
Whoa, interesting. We have double ghost from OMG. So, you know, we were talking about the fact that, like, they wouldn't be using dashes, and so they picked immobile carries, right? But taking the Ghost for the extra kiting potential. This is interesting. I've had a lot of discussions. Obviously, Ghost got kind of pushed out the mid lane a while ago to show up occasionally, but a bit more of a rarity. But I've heard about, like, Ghost and AD carries having that extra movement speed in extended fights. If you get a reset, the duration extends. It can be really powerful. But clearly, this says to me that, like, OMG know they're not going to have too much pressure in the bot lane. They don't really expect to have too much pressure overall, really. They are playing to be as strong as they can in team fights. Now, on the other side of Weibo, we see Huanfeng's gone for the TP. So similar thought process, as in, I don't expect us to do a ton of fighting in lane, but go in a different direction in terms of what you're looking to get out of it, right? And, you know, I said I don't expect much fighting. Apparently, the some of the choices aren't really in line with how they're actually going to play it in the first couple of levels.
A bit of fisticuffs going on here, but this is where I do want to talk about, right? I know we've been on the patch for a little bit longer, but I want to pick your brain a bit, because the Sivir is something that's, you know, resurging into the patch. Why in this situation do you feel like they felt confident picking this? Is it just the wave clear? Is it the new addition to, like, the bouncing of the ricochet? What is the goal?
She has a really strong scaling AD carry now. Very effective in the later stages of the game. The movement speed buff to TheShy is very nice. But ultimately, I feel like you pick it because you know the lane's not going to be too punishing. Like, into Aphelios, it's pretty fine. You get to the point where you just clear the wave. It's not something like Callisto Draven that can be really problematic. But my concern here is that, like, there's a lot of champions in this game that Sivir struggles to operate. The reason I love the Sivir rework is she feels strong, but she has weaknesses. And one of those weaknesses is obviously her range. She's 500 range as an AD carry, and you can use your ricochet and your boomerang blade to mitigate that. But at the end of the day, you're gonna have to be able to auto someone. And, like, if you're close enough to Abel, to Creme, to Cole, to Shanji, you're in a dangerous spot. So Huanfeng's gonna have to pilot this one well, and does have some concern when it comes to team fights.
It's going to be interesting to see how Huanfeng specifically pilots this one into a composition like OMG have. We were potentially going to see some skirmishing happening early on between the junglers, but it will be Scuttle Crab achieved by Aki first on the move, and OMG with priority in bottom lane take the bottom Scuttle too.
Yeah, and I love this move when you have control of the bot lane and there's like a contest top, so you know, like, SofM has seen you take the Scuttle, he's not going to be on the bot side. Just means you can sweep up and grab it, especially with something like Braum that can easily set up the CC, so you get the quick ability to take it down. Now, on taking some heavy trades here, and, you know, the Nautilus will pay off later in the game. Like, having a Nautilus is fantastic for engaging, especially when you're into a Aphelios and a Viktor. In the laning phase, you're really going to struggle to make anything happen into a Braum now. Shanji's very low. If SofM wants to look for this, he really can. But the weak recalls aren't going to be stopped, doesn't look like. Yeah, so far, TheShy, you know, you saw him get low a little bit earlier, but he's been doing okay in the lane. And as I said, lane a little bit weaker, but you scale like crazy.
Yeah.
And Gwen was already a late game monster.
I just love that both junglers just went top to back. They're just like, hey, I just want to say hi to Shanji and TheShy, make sure everything's okay. Get back and get back onto the map after that, because now we're getting dragon spawning in about 15 seconds. And SofM already down towards this bottom side. Angel looking for the deep warding. They're really looking for a lot of control down here, as Aki himself will be coming over to this side of the map as well.
Yeah, so good job just getting those wards down, get the vision, have vision on the Raptor camp. But the ultimate thing is they're not really going to be able to do much at the moment for Weibo, because OMG are on the map quickest. They got the reset in. We did see Huanfeng actually use the TP, though. This is kind of the nice thing about the TP on your AD carry, is he had to reset, but he comes back in with a Noon Quiver. This will give him a bit of extra power to be able to contest the bot wave. You can see now Weibo are feeling confident. They know the AD carry has control of bot, or at least can match Abel. And we see On moving into the river with his team to try and set up some plays.
Yeah, no confidence to necessarily start it up exactly right now, but they are moving a lot of bodies from this mid lane, at least a roam from On towards this middle lane. But it's Aki starting up the dragon here because of that movement, and SofM going for an invade. Won't find any jungle camps up that way, so this is a nice pickup for OMG as they move their bottom lane here to the pit.
Nothing to be taken, so really nice from OMG in that sense. Gromp is going to spawn, so SofM's going to head over to that one. But Fierce Dragon secured for OMG, definitely a big positive in just sort of, you know, delaying potential soul for Weibo, but also setting that as a win con for themselves. Shanji doesn't overextend there. He knows he's on the weaker side of the map, so he does not push forward, doesn't try to contest, just goes for the reset. It will put him a little bit behind, but at least he won't get punished.
Talking about punishment, Cold and Abel getting some decent damage and work on as they're just trying to press up as much as possible. Aki is floating down this way, but he's just going to turn back into the farming. And not as much skirmishing as maybe we thought there was potential to be between these two junglers so far. There's been more skirmishing in the top lane, which we expected, but this bottom lane as well. It's just been constant pressure for OMG so far, though.
Yeah, but I think it makes sense for the support matchup, but Huanfeng's going to eventually get to the point where with a Q and a W, you just obliterate a wave, and they can never have pressure on you, which kind of gives Weibo, you know, if OMG aren't able to push the pace of the game, it kind of gives Weibo the freedom to choose when they want to set the pace of the game. Because as I said, OMG don't have engage really on their composition. Like, you kind of relying on Aki or Cole just to run at the enemy team, which isn't the best. And if Weibo have a ton of wave clear, which they do, I mean, between Sivir and Taliyah, it's so hard to push waves in. We could end up seeing a slower one. If Weibo decide they want to take it slower, it may end up going slower. And that's why OMG picking up the Dragon and this Herald in 40 seconds can be really important if they want to try and set the pace of the game, because tools like that are what let you push the pace forwards.
I will say, just as a caveat to this, and talking about like carries, at least for OMG, I got to give another little spotlight to Abel. On the Aphelios, he's shown a really high mechanical ceiling, at least in terms of his execution, but he's been so integral to, in the lack of, or I guess disappearance of Creme to some extent this season, he's been the carry for this team a lot of the times. And I think on the Aphelios, he's set up for success in terms of comfort, but I need to see the execution. And against Huanfeng would be a nice little notch to the belt, but I think this bottom lane is going to be so important to win this first game of the series for OMG. And speaking of winning, TheShy almost gets the solo kill in the top lane, and he tries to go for it. One more step, but he can't get it.
God, it's so close. This is what I expected for the matchup, but look at the lean from Weibo. Aki's waiting in the wings. He wants to stop a potential dive from just TheShy, but the rest of the team there, they know they have to be cautious, but pings come out. And now with the E coming out from Aki, they'll have full information. They'll see exactly where he is. They will back away, but TheShy already pushing the limits in that matchup.
Not as much damage on Abel yet in that one. Abel takes a little bit of damage there. And now it's with Herald, about half health for OMG. SofM showed his face for just a second. They do have a control ward in the pit. They're actually moving in here. Keeper's verdict is not going to hit anybody, and that means that Weibo Gaming needs to get out of dodge.
Yeah, so Aki will secure it. This is really good for OMG. I'm glad they put that much priority in securing it. They also moved back Abel quite early. They realized that they were going to be able to get it. So SofM tries to knock away into maybe a steal, doesn't find it. Abel gets back in time, so he only loses 1 plate, you know, a bit of CS. But OMG got the Herald. It's exactly what they need in this game. And if they keep this control on neutral objectives, that's what's going to be able to give them a fighting chance.
And find that control on the map against Weibo Gaming. And just continue to watch these laners really scale as Creme in the mid lane on the Viktor will be a nice little addition to the plethora of tools that OMG have if they continue to get a lead for themselves. I'm really looking at the Rift Herald placement for Aki and where he wants to dump these resources, right? A lot of times we could see it towards bottom lane for Abel. I wonder if they try to transition and change this top lane matchup a little bit for Shanji, where really the options could be here, Aux.
I think it'd probably be mid. I feel like it's so important.
He's
like I said,
top.
Because there's so much wave clear, I feel like mid would be the best call because you're not going to take mid tier 1 without a Herald, or at least second Herald. And the sooner you get it down, the sooner you open up the map, the sooner you can contest control. So that's where I would like to see it. Ultimately, if Weibo make a big mistake, and let's say they take a fight and lose heavily, and you're like right next to bot tower, I can get it, right? You just take the gold you can get. But I think mid with the first Herald, then second Herald mid as well. You break that tier 1. That's going to be so important because I legitimately think if OMG don't break mid tier 1 with the Herald, they will really struggle to ever break it, like for such a long time in the game. And we've talked countless times about how important mid tier 1 being down is for when you want to push deeper. You want to push that mid wave in, rotate out into the jungle, and fan out to get vision.
Look at this move from SofM. Maybe trying to capitalize on Creme in the mid lane, but Dragon is up. A lot of vision control from Weibo Gaming and a lot of bodies down here, so they look to try to even up the neutral objective score maybe, but actually SofM pathing up towards this mid lane again.
You can see Angel's just constantly been fishing for harass onto Creme.
Creme just wants to back.
He's pestering him constantly. And OMG hanging around bot, they might end up just put the Herald bot here. Yep, so not going to use it mid. Does mean that they'll be able to get some gold for Abel, but does come at the cost of keeping that mid lane tower in a more comfortable position.
I think this is a really nice infusion of gold for the bottom lane of OMG. And I think it's important for them because now they can try to use this presence to get this dragon. Will be second dragon of the game for them as well. And even with SofM here, the back gets completed from Angel. He'll have TP to get back. He's actually TP.
Weibo can't fight this.
Yeah, bottom lane. Verdict. That end of the wall. Oh no. Aki over the wall as well. Dragon goes on. The ignite is perfect. On gets the kill. Weibo get the dragon. And they are on the board with first blood.
Yeah, and there's no way OMG could fight this because Creme's reset was stalled out constantly. Angel reset himself. Bought Ludens, TP'd in, and look at the AD carries as well. Yes, Abel got that influx of gold, but he never got to spend it. So as a result, you had full mythic on Huanfeng, full mythic on Angel. Creme wasn't there with his. That was very much OMG trying to sneak away an objective they had no right to do. And so Weibo, they call them out and they steal the dragon away and they get a kill. Really nice for them. And it means, you know, we were talking about how Weibo set the pace. Weibo were gonna set the pace of the game. Creme?
So
yeah, we were talking about how Weibo are gonna set the pace of this game by taking that dragon. It means OMG just, you know, their threat of soul is delayed for another 5 minutes at minimum. And we'll see the replay coming out. Oh, that is just a dead Aki. Guess not. Going back to live. Next focus is going to be on that second Herald. And I said earlier, Mazel, how important it was that OMG take that mid tier 1. That is often where second Herald is used, is in the mid lane. So I really feel like they need to set up for this one effectively and try and find a window into it.
We're seeing a TP now into the mid lane from Huanfeng as we're actually getting pings from Angel. Thought he was moving down towards bottom lane, and this is an interesting adaptation for Weibo. As now we'll get the replay.
Now we get the replay. Yeah, so you can see Angel's making his way over, having just TP'd. Huanfeng is there with the Kraken, and they have this Nautilus. So Aki does manage to ult out, but the dragon gets stolen. That ignite is there to finish him off. And the only real constellation prize is at least is the support getting the gold. But you look and see that extra gold 2 on has meant he now has a full locket completed, which is a really nice spike, honestly, in those early fights. If you use a locket effectively, especially against things like a Viktor, if you can you know, either block the damage from his initial ultimate cast, if you can block Aki from getting a reset when he goes in for an ult, could be a lot of value in that.
Oh, bottom lane. Got to see the Gale Force use from Abel and
Mazel, even when it's a champion without a dash, he still has a dash.
Still
right?
has a dash. Oh no. Question for you though. Something I was curious in that last replay, and maybe it's too far to call back to, but SofM started a back in the pit there as he was channeling the Keeper's Verdict. Is that just to like time it out a little bit faster, or do you have any idea? I thought it was really interesting. Maybe this isn't the time to look at it.
I'm going to be honest, I don't specifically know.
Yeah, really interesting. I mean, it's just like in the middle of the fight, you get to see like a millisecond of a back start. But anyways, we're back to this one. Speaking of back, and On is roaming up into the mid lane with Huanfeng as they, have moved to the mid lane. Now, Creme still holding here strong, but we got so many pings onto this Rift Herald pit right now from both teams. OMG, first ones into the pit at least.
This is the pivotal point. This is such a big objective to play for both sides. I think you really, really need to see OMG set up for this one and get it. Right now, they have control of the river area. And they do have... Shanji has just picked up the Triforce, but he is heading down towards bot lane and does not have TP. This could well just be a 4v4. Weibo take mid prio and then start to rotate over.
I love it because, like, you can't even see the pit because of all the pings from both teams going into it on the mini-map. SofM will be here to clear out the wards and start up the Rift Herald here. Aki is actually moving this way a little bit. They are bringing TheShy up all the way from bottom lane. Weaver's Wall across the way to block Aki from going in here. They want to try to get across the wall, but they can't do it just yet. Gold's now moving in. The Rift Herald get a little bit low. Oh, Aki steals it. Weibo go for the re-engage, though. This is a big Chaos Storm doing some work from Creme as well, and Abel is the one that picks up the kill. Onto the board is OMG, and they get the Rift Herald.
And now they can just head mid, slam it down. Bear in mind, Poppy can actually ult away Rift Herald, so the fact that SofM's ult is down means this is probably the best window you're going to get. But yes, I said mid turret, really important OMG get this, and the Herald will likely be the tool that they need, and they are able to find it. So great steal from Aki and great outcome for the side of OMG.
And during that whole thing, Shanji took the first turret in bottom lane as well. So they get 2 turrets on top of that. And all of a sudden, you get a huge gold influx from OMG to push forward even more. And that's a good setup for Abel and for everything we were talking about in the draft.
Yeah, but that does mean they gave up a lot of pressure around the dragon area. Resets have to come in, and now Weibo playing for this Cloud Dragon.
He's doing some serious work now, though. Getting some damage in with that Loon's Echo. As they now are moving into the pit. Dragon did get started up by Weibo. They have vision on it because of that control board there, so they know what the health is at, and OMG pull away.
Look at the Unraveled Earth when it's thrown down. It just covers the whole choke. It's so frustrating. And, I think OMG are happy. I think they got what they wanted out of the situation. And as much as they lose out on the Dragon, I don't think they're too concerned. OMG doing a lot of work and now have about 2,500 gold lead in this game. This is everything they want, and I just want to see them keep pushing this momentum forwards in this one.
So a little bit of a point. We'll look at this replay really quick, and then I'll bring it up after. But it's a nice move from Angel to kind of block off the way for so long, and then SofM to get the Braum out of there. But Aki just has beautiful timing to get in after that Keeper's Verdict.
And this is the thing, is that as much as I felt like I said OMG aren't the ones who set like the pace of the game because they don't have that engage. We saw Weibo try and go into them, and when you try and die Viktor Aphelios, the damage is pretty absurd, and the Nautilus just got deleted, right? Again, this is a glacial augment Nautilus. You don't have aftershock, you don't have the extra bulky stats to help out to keep you alive, and Nautilus is quite a squishy champion.
See a bit of a 1v1 started up this bottom lane. The needlework actually used, and Shanji in some trouble. He's still got the stack. The flash comes out from Shanji. He'll make it out alive. Oh, it's so close. Woo! It's like riding a Bronco here. The now bottom lane for this one. Holy cow.
And this is a point where Gwen really spikes now. I was talking about how her E refund is a lot lower earlier. It spikes when you
he's playing with fire. Shanji. He's going to use the cannon barrage. Does he get the outplay? This is the most intense little fight at 19 minutes in I've seen. I love it, but both of them actually back away, so a little bit of respect for them both ways.
Yeah, a lot burnt, but as I was saying, this is where Gwen really spikes. Your E is now maxed, which means you get 65% cooldown refund if you auto a target after using it. See, it's like a 9-second cooldown. Shy E's, you can see in the bottom left, and then autos, and it's like it's 3 seconds. It's so short, and you can just keep dashing on Shanji. Now, OMG are looking to send some potential reinforcements, just so is Weibo.
No, Abel! Abel, go away! This is solo kill territory down here, okay? They're getting SofM down here, too. So both backing off a little bit. TheShy getting hit by the barrels there. Abel, we spotted out by SofM, trying to get a back off in SofM. That's something I want to bring up, is the proactivity of these junglers. We've seen a lot of, not exact proactivity, but more so focus on the farming. Whereas, you know, in last series, it was Tien just being ruthless with the Poppy.
Yeah, I mean, Tien was really set on making plays happen, making ganks happen. That hasn't been as apparent here. And it has been a bit more about these neutrals waiting for them. And now it's 2 minutes till the next dragon. That's going to be what they lean on. I will say Cloud Dragon here, when you have like a lot of immobile carries, like a lot of things are movement speed based. Like we have so many ghosts in this game. Obviously, Sivir as a champion, he gets fantastic movement speed from her ultimate. Cloud Soul is actually pretty strong in this match. Now TheShy looking for Shanji again. I think he might just be gone.
Need to work with the slow is helping Shanji. Oh, TheShy taking some decent damage back though. He does get the denial of the barrel, and Shanji healing up, but it's not enough. TheShy gets the kill with a little bit of help from SofM.
Yeah, manages to take that one, shuts down Shanji, and she'll be able to take this tower as well. And OMG aren't in position to do the Baron themselves, so they won't even really get anything off this. And this is the problem. You know, it's nice that they took that mid-tier 1, but it's so hard to push. It's so hard to push against what Weibo has. And we actually even see Huanfeng having picked up a tier, so we don't normally see Sivir take a tier. I don't imagine. I think he's going to finish Phantom Dancer here, yeah. I don't think he's going to like build
he
mana
sold
immune.
it.
Oh, he sold it. I think he was just buying it for the mana. I think that was the reason. You don't normally see mana immune. Sivir is very much like a crit AD now. So I guess he just wanted some extra mana. It's a bit of a weird one. I haven't really seen it. But regardless, like Sivir has a ton of wave clear. Taliyah has a ton of wave clear. It's very hard to make things happen when SofM is making a play on the other side of the map.
I'm seeing a contest for vision around this dragon pit. And we are about 45 seconds from it spawning. Aki having to get out there with the Heartbreaker, won't have it for the fight.
Yeah, and it's not the biggest concern for Viego because, you know, when you get a reset, you get it back anyway. Or at least you get a use of it. But still, obviously, a bit of a negative. And now, OMG at least using the fact they have that mid-tier 1 down to push the wave in and then move into the river and get control. And this is vital for OMG. Whenever you're playing for these objectives, you want to be there first. You want Weibo to come into you where you have vision, so you can kite backwards. You want to play that way with the Aphelios, with the Viktor, have the enemy team run into you. And so it's nice that they're setting up early and trying to contest this priority. You can see Huanfeng doesn't really want to walk up the Abel, sorry. But notice, this is a level 14 Sivir. Huanfeng's been power farming this game so far and is very powerful.
It's actually crazy how far in experience he is from Abel. They moved him to the mid lane so quickly, that TP keeping him in lane as well. The XP working out so well. Weaver's Wall again from Angel. Beautiful. Gets stopped off a little early. TheShy on the side here. The drag. Oh, nice keeper's verdict. We'll bring Creme out of the fight. TheShy still has the side fight here in third dragon. Just goes easily to SofM and Weibo Gaming.
I think it's something we've seen so fantastically done in the LPL is the use of the Weaver's Wall to cut teams off. And it's kind of a pairing with Poppy is the fact that you use the wall and you use the ultimate from the Poppy to just disrupt them. You knock the Viktor away, you cut them off. But now OMG, they're looking for the Baron. I'm not sure about this play.
And also with the synergy of the Poppy, you can knock them into the wall. So there was no way for OMG to approach that one. But now they don't have those tools. OMG lacking a bit of confidence in the execution, though. They won't go fully in onto the Baron.
But they got what they wanted. They got the Shy's TP, so at least they took something out of this situation. It wasn't just a scenario where, you know, you're losing the dragon for nothing. But now, what are you doing?
In trouble here. The cannon barrage back into the gravity field. On just goes down. Another one for OMG.
Yeah, but I still say Weibo favored. They got the dragon, they got mid and top tower because OMG went towards the Baron, but now SofM has to be careful, or maybe OMG does.
Setting up. They're setting up for TheShy. TheShy actually backs away there. SofM, little sidestep. They're pinging. They're pinging.
Oh, Shy's still
This
here.
is so rough. OMG, they could be in some serious trouble here if they commit to this. They do have a decent amount of damage. Calibrum and Chakrams there now for Abel. Shanji coming down. TheShy is doing so much damage with the needleworks, and he just eviscerates Aki. Snip, snip goes your life. There's Moonlight Vigil on the side from Abel. OMG trying to get SofM. They do get a trade back. A bit of an overextension for Weibo Gaming, even if TheShy was working on it.
Man, this Gwen is disgusting, by the way. That was one of the things buffed with Gwen, is the damage on her ultimate was actually the base and the AP ratio, I believe. And it's the fact that now, so before you had to damage someone between every single ult cast, but you see here, you don't anymore. You just have to wait a second. So in these teamfight scenarios, fire one off. And normally, TheShy would have to hit someone. Instead here, you just fire the charges off. Nearly kills Abel there. Does kill Aki. And yes, SofM definitely overextends here, trying to look for a knockback, as the rest of them are zoned off by Abel with all those chakrams. But the fact that both junglers die, the game kind of resets to back to a neutral state. Mazel, we have about 200 gold lead. It is neck and neck.
It's a big difference from what we've been seeing a lot of in the LPL. I love this. It is contestant every single step of the way, it feels like. And a lot of times, OMG playing to their strengths. We've seen some mistakes from both sides. I think that's what we're going to get in a very volatile game like this. But we've started to see some of those things we were talking about at the beginning of this series, right? The volatility from the top lane kind of bleeding into the rest of the team. The proactivity from the junglers really needing to be something we see. And looking at how these teams navigate the win conditions they've grabbed for themselves.
The problem I have is TheShy is hitting critical mass, right? He is level 16 now. He's nearly got a Rabadon's. Nearly got 3 items. Huanfeng is level 15 as an AD carry. He's higher than anyone on OMG, higher level. And he's got 3 items. That is the big spike on Sivir. When you have that Infinity Edge, you start to really chunk. And they all nearly got that Cloud Soul. And that movement speed is actually very impactful, right, for the champions on the side of Weibo. Look at how much it just murders through these waves now. Level 16, 3 levels up on Abel, yeah. That's the problem, is that I felt like OMG would struggle to progress the pace of this game, and Weibo have some super scalers. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying OMG don't have strong scaling champions, but I am really concerned of how they're going to handle TheShy's Gwen, how they're going to handle Huanfeng's Sivir here. And in a minute 10, it's going to be Soul. If they give it up, I think it's a big power boost for Weibo. They need to try and work out a solution to see if they can find a way in, find a favorable team fight for themselves.
And SofM knows his win condition here, at least at these kind of lull moments. It's to hang around TheShy, hang around this mid lane, and see what they can get. He's fishing. And so that's a little bit of that proactivity that I felt was lacking from the Poppy pick in this second series of the day. But we're seeing that in the mid game to the late game decision making. He's trying to find something in SofM.
But I mean, look at this. TheShy has a Rabadon's. Void Staff picked up for Angel as
That's
well.
Insane.
Big spikes coming in just before this dragon. Weibo want to contest this. They want to win this one. And fortunately, once again, OMG have got their first. As I said before, really important that they're first so that Weibo have to run into them. And we'll see if something can happen here. If TheShy ends up on a flank, it is game over for OMG.
They've moved Shanji in here to try to set up some of these barrel chains that, as you said, leaves the back door a little bit open for TheShy. This means OMG want to try to press into the mid lane. It's more this priority, but Cold can't get caught out. Look at TheShy. He's circling on the side. He will get spotted out by the control ward. They go in on, but that's everything used pretty much. Now they just get TheShy going in on all of them, and Cold almost dies. Doesn't get hit by the last needlework there. Chaos Storm was used. You got the Moonlight Vigil. You got the Heartbreaker. You got the Glacial Fissure. The only thing left is the Cannon Barrage here, but they want to try to contest over this dragon because that's just a free soul for them, and OMG have to give it up.
OMG lose positioning because of TheShy. He forces them out, and the dragon's taken now. The extra movement speed, 10% movement speed permanently for everyone on Weibo is pretty massive, but the burst of speed, if Huanfeng pops his ultimate, can make such a large difference. And now
Angel.
OMG, once again, they move over to Baron to threaten it, but Weibo, no, there's no chance of that happening.
And if they would have stayed, if they would have overextended, the Weaver's Wall was quick to come out. The depth charge was available for On as well, so it's good that OMG actually turned to back away from that one. They will have to lick their wounds a little bit here, as Weibo definitely come out on top with that one. Even if the gold discrepancy hasn't moved that much, it's the control that we're feeling in these fights that is leaning towards Weibo.
Yeah, it's the control, it's the experience in favor of Weibo, and also the fact that like they have a Poppy in the jungle who for a long time you've seen SofM just sack his camps. He's like, I don't care, I'm a Poppy, give them to my AD carry. And that's the thing you do on Sivir. The new Sivir, the way it works is you're like, the old 500 CS win con Sivir. That's kind of the thing. You just power farm with her and she becomes an absolute monster in the later stage of the game. And OMG, they're going to try and contest some vision around the Baron area, but Weibo always so quick to respond and just offer presence in return and just let them know you won't do a Baron without being fought over it.
Yeah, the Cloud Soul helps so much in that. And just again, the fact that Poppy is just so darn quick. It just feels like she can be everywhere on the map at all times. It's actually crazy. And we're seeing Weibo move into this top side of the map to move in onto OMG. And they're just starting up the Baron because they know they can force a fight. There's not much OMG can do here as the Weaver's Wall comes across. Perfect timing. Blocked by Cold, though. As on the side has the depth charge. They need to try to get into the pit, but it's Baron already gone even through the cannon barrage over to Weibo Gaming. Oh, Shanji, you're getting in some trouble here. TheShy wants to go in. He's going in himself. He's snipping away. The needlework's coming through, too. Oh, no, the knockup. Abel, you're caught. And OMG, they are done. That is Shanji flashing onto Angel, but he'll be smited to death by SofM. And game one will end prematurely, it feels like, at this point, because it is Weibo Gaming pushing down the mid lane.
And Weibo knew they just had to wait. As soon as it got to the late game, with the comp they had, with TheShy on Gwen, Huanfeng on this power farming Sivir, that they would dictate the game. And as soon as they decide it's time to go, they make the win. They just crush OMG in this one. And it really felt like OMG never found a solid foot into the game. A slow game, a controlled game. But honestly, it's a positive look for Weibo, who have sometimes been a bit more sporadic in how they like to play games out.
Yeah, and I love to see the smile on Huanfeng's face there. The smiles on all their faces, really. And a good mid-game, turn of the table for Weibo Gaming. And coming into this one, right, we did say this matchup is a lot closer in the table than the first series of the night was, and we got to see that, right? It was very hotly contested, but it was the little things that were working out in Weibo's favor. As we had said, the control around the map, the XP, the resource, division that they were using to really find the upper hand over OMG.
And I just think OMG had no engage and had no way of like pushing forward the pace of the game. I mean, to an extent, but it's like you had the Viktor in the mid lane. You were kind of leaning into, okay, let's scale up, but you got outscaled, right? Yeah. The Gwen is even better late game than she was before. You saw what TheShy was doing in those fights, and the Sivir as well, just being able to free farm up to that point. I think the draft didn't do OMG any favors, but ultimately Weibo knew their win cons and just played to them perfectly. It didn't feel like they ever went too far forward, other than like a couple of moments from on. They for the most part just said, look guys, we're chilling. Just wait till 30 minutes, get Soul, get Baron, end.
So I want to go into that top matchup, though, a little bit more, because we put such a big spotlight on Shanji versus TheShy, but it definitely felt one-sided. Even in the 1v1s we were getting, Shanji a lot of time having to use his cooldowns defensively. Do you see a big change going to game two to kind of combat TheShy? I mean, I said it in the first draft, like, there's not much you can do when it comes to banning this guy's champions away, but I need to see a little bit of life come out from Shanji.
I mean, one thing is TheShy was on red side, so he got counterpick, right? That's a big factor. Two is TheShy is insane on Gwen, so that's a problem. And three is you're playing Gangplank and a Gwen. Like, I even hit on it. You saw Shanji having some good trades early, but it wasn't enough. You really need to put this Gwen down in the dirt early, or she'll just become a monster. And like the junglers, like, didn't really fight much. Look at the jungle and support damage, even the AD carry.
Yeah,
right.
That's crazy. There
wasn't much fighting in this game, and that's because Weibo didn't want there to be fighting. They were just like, we're just gonna take it slow, lean into what our win con is, and then TheShy just became an absolute monster. It was like, that level 13 point where you saw him nearly solo kill Shanji. That is when your E is maxed. It's a 65% cooldown refund every time you auto after you E. And at that point, he can just run you down. He can just absolutely destroy you. And even the build, like the Rabadon's Void Staff, it's like, I want my ult to just one-shot. And you saw what it did in fights.
It was actually crazy. And we were talking in the head-to-head between